The title of tonight's message is, Can I Get an Amen? Uprooting injustice, rooting justice. What is required of us as friends? On July 27th, 2019, during PYM's 2019 annual sessions, friend Emma Condori of Bolivia spoke of Micah 6:8 within the context of her ministry about Indigenous water rights. And Micah 6:8 has been stuck in my head since that day, nearly 2 years ago. The verse reads, "The Lord has told you what is good and what he requires of you, to do what is right, to love mercy, and to walk humbly with your God." I'm going to rework Micah 6:8 to say, what do we as friends require of each other? What is required of our beloved community, and how do we share our light with the world as it pertains to racial justice? In case you haven't noticed, I'm a person of color and I identify as a Black woman. So I am only able to share my experience as a Black woman from the United States. As unprogrammed friends, we eschew hierarchy. So I'm certain that it won't come as a surprise when I say that we cannot look to the yearly meeting to solve issues that emanate from our monthly meetings, although they can make educational and financial resources available to assist us. In 2017, Philadelphia Yearly Meetings sent the following queries to us. What are we as a meeting doing to identify and address racism within our meeting? That was the first one. The second one was, what are we as a meeting doing to end injustice and violence in our communities, our city, our world? And right now we're going to do a quick poll because I'd just like to know how many people present recall addressing those queries in their meetings. Oh, that's a lot more than I thought. So that's pretty refreshing. I don't think everyone submitted their answers, but what can you say? Well, in the fall of 2017, my meeting embarked on those queries. We engaged a facilitator to help us take a deep dive around the issue of racism. Trenton Meeting is located in a small urban city. By small, I mean less than 90,000 inhabitants. Our meeting is relatively tiny, with approximately 25 active members and attenders, with maybe 20 more on the books. And like many unprogrammed meetings in the United States, Trenton Meeting is majority white. And what we discovered was that as a meeting, we felt strongly about addressing social injustice outside of our meeting, but we were uncomfortable discussing racism on a more personal level and within our meeting. It was difficult for white members to let go of the myth of colorblindness and understand that privilege didn't necessarily mean that they received special treatment, but that it could also mean that they weren't followed around a store, or constantly pulled over because of the color of their skin. And that workshop was uncomfortable, but necessary to help us come together as a meeting to go out and address concerns in the world. And even before the PYM queries, Trenton Meeting discussed financially investing in our neighborhood. To that end, late fall of 2017, we decided to draw down $100,000 from our endowment to invest in the community. You know, this is something that we had discerned for several years, and it was just at that moment, the time felt right. And we began with lofty ideas supported by research and presentations, and all with good intentions. However, they were rooted in white middle-class standards. So we ultimately decided to listen to grassroots community groups and let them tell us what was truly needed. We listened to the voices of people in need. So over the past 4 years, we have provided computers for the teen, young adult section of our local public library. We've supported capital improvements at 2 local Black churches that do very meaningful work in the community for youth and seniors, free of charge. We provided funds to community college students that were just a little short on money in order to complete their degrees and certificate programs. We supported salaries for returning citizens employed by a local urban community garden, as well as money for capital improvements to a building run by an unincorporated group that provides social and educational services to the community. Also, they do that at no cost. So let me in full disclosure, say that this was a difficult exercise for someone like me that, I'm trying to shed my type A personality. There's no such thing as a perfect idea or a perfect program or a perfect organization. What is important is that your intentions are clear and that the recipient's intentions are pure to serve. And now we have another poll. And I'd like to just see how many friends are interested in community-focused work. So let's take a couple seconds and fill that in. I'm so surprised that friends are interested in the community. One of the things that I love about Friends is that we live our faith. So it's my belief that true change will come when we confront injustice as meetings. And what does injustice look like in the wealthiest country in the world? It could look like unclean drinking water, substandard housing, adults that are functionally illiterate after 12 to 13 years of public education, food deserts, over policing, increased maternal and infant mortality, standing in line for hours to vote, lack of community resources, and higher death rates for Black and Brown people during a global pandemic. Now, I know I've done a lot of talking, so I'd like to just pause for a bit and see if people have questions. And Olivia is going to facilitate that, I believe, through the chat.
I just turned the chat back on.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So Nikki has shared so much, and I would love for folks to be able to put in the chat, and I will read the questions out loud for Nikki to answer. Okay, we have a couple coming through already. And Nikki, I'm curious how Trenton Meeting's close relationship with the community has enriched the faith community. And that is from Viv.
I mean, I really do believe that helping those around us actually is making us a better meeting. It's making us a stronger, more together meeting. And it's not the act of writing a check or giving money. It's that people really believe in our kindness and our love for them, and what they want to do in the community. I mean, it's just it's really kind of selfish, when you give and you serve and you have these warm feelings about helping others. But it really is true, especially with the 2 Black churches that we've been helping recently, and they give back to us. It's not a one-way thing. We have developed a really close relationship. We get tagged in everything. We get group texts the same as any other person in their congregations. And it's really strengthened me personally as a friend to share this message and to share with you today.
Great, Nikki. The next question we have is from Donna. What are some strategies for breaking through the myth of colorblindness among a predominantly white meeting community?
My recommendation would be for you to come together as a meeting to really think about how you address this collectively. There is no one strategy. You know, we're all different, but I would encourage you to get someone that is versed in talking about issues of racism and injustice. The person we used, I believe she was involved in the Indivisibility group. I think that's the name of it. But we felt that it wasn't something we could do on our own. So we really did engage and pay an outside facilitator to assist us. And we're better for it. I don't think we would have been ready to go out into the world to help. So I would really strongly encourage people to seek assistance.
Thank you, Nikki. From Steve and Mio, could you speak to the statement I heard through Power recently? Charity is not justice.
Wow. So the way I move in the world is through my leading and my ministry. Politics is important as a system of power. However, the way I am forming this discussion is how do we work as a meeting to actively engage and address injustice in the world. That would be an individual meeting's decision to talk about power. And I'm not necessarily just talking about FCNL. You know, as some people know, my 9-to-5 is working for a municipality. And I have run campaigns for just for fun, political campaigns. But power is not really something I am led to talk about tonight. But if you would like to contact me through my website, I'm happy to have that conversation with you. But that is not where Spirit is leading me tonight.
Nikki, we have 2 more questions, and I think that you just wanted to take a total of 5. So I'll share a couple more questions. This is from Carissa. How to avoid toxic philanthropy and giving and becoming a faith group that sees themselves as helping less fortunate versus an equal exchange.
Oh, there's a lot of stuff. You must have read that I was in, I used to work in philanthropy. Okay, there is a blog called Nonprofit AF, and I won't say what the AF stands for. I would encourage you to follow Vu. He is Vietnamese American, and he discusses philanthropy from the position of a person of color working in a space where executive directors are not always people of color, although these organizations say they care about the quote unquote less fortunate, which really just means people that lack resources because, you know, the distribution of wealth. I would encourage you to look at organizations that are led by people of color that help people of color. And to me, that's the only way that the imbalance in philanthropy will change. And I can say this having worked at incredibly wealthy foundation for a number of years, that if philanthropy or charities or churches just shifted and started to invest in grassroots programs that really have deep impact in the communities and are led by the people that look like them, the shift will occur.
There's a question from Pamela Williams. How did you promote partnership and equity in determining the choice of the Black churches, choices of action, and timeframes?
Oh, let's start with the timeframes first. You know how we do. Quaker discernment. I'm gonna talk about that a little bit later. We have to get out of our own heads. We have to learn how to lead with our heart and with spirit. And like I said before, there's no perfect organization. There's no perfect partnership. Ask people for what they need and accept their answer. Not filtered through the lens of whatever privilege you might have, but what do they need? You know, no one cares that you have so many members that their area of expertise might be in the computer field. What do the people in your community need? Maybe it's something completely different. Maybe you can't personally help them, but a shift could occur where you can meet each other halfway. I would just say to remember that there are no perfect partnerships. And if you truly want to help others, you will listen to what they are asking for.
Nikki, there's one last question. And this friend would like to know a little bit more about NIA Ministries.
I'm supposed to say you're supposed to log onto my website to find more, because I don't want to be doing a commercial, so to speak. NIA was something that I ran away from. I've had a leading before 2019. When I officially founded it, it had been dogging me for a number of years. I didn't want to start a ministry. I really didn't want to focus on helping friends. And when you have that still small voice that just keeps saying, Nikki, Nikki, Nikki. I finally had to listen, and here I am, and I'm glad that I listened. And how dare I not answer God's call? And I'm thankful that my meeting is very supportive of my ministry. But yeah, I did not want to heed the call. Sometimes you run away from a leading and it just hits you smack in the face. So, and especially during the pandemic, I was able to come in contact with friends from all over the world, really. And I said, you know, how dare I not share of myself with others, especially friends that are interested in deepening their spirituality and having more of a connection to community. So thank you for your questions, and please feel free to contact me for more information through my website, niaministries.org, and if you could put that in the chat, Olivia. And also please consider making a financial contribution to help support my ministry. Friends, we cannot wait for yet another year-long Quaker committee or inquiry into the issue of injustice. As friends, we discern things ad nauseum. Now, I'm not saying that spirit is not moving through the process, but if you see your fellow human being struggling under the weight of oppression with society's knee on their neck, squeezing the life out of them, crying for their dead mother, your response should not be to turn away and do nothing. As a friend, as a meeting, do you do what is right and just? Do you love mercy? Do you walk humbly and recognize that of God in everyone? Do you want to be comfortable? Or do you want to do what is right and just? The time is now. I challenge you to do more. I challenge you to be more. I challenge you to be the light. Can I get an amen?
Amen.
Amen.
Thank you, Nikki, for that beautiful message. Friends, let's settle into some shared worship, having just received Nikki's message. And out of worship, we will receive the land acknowledgements. We will worship for about 45 minutes together.